master and mistress decided one day to visit some friends who lived about 50 miles away. James Howard, the stable boy, was to drive them. He was leaving us shortly to go to a better job and needed the practice in driving. The first day we travelled 32 miles. There were long, heavy hills, but James drove so carefully that Ginger and I were not at all harassed. Just as the sun was going down, we reached the town where we were to spend the night. We stopped at a big hotel in the marketplace. We drove into a long yard, and 2 ostlers came to take us to our stalls in a long stable. Later on in the evening, a traveller's horse was brought in by one of the ostlers. While the ostler was grooming, a young man with a pipe in his mouth came into the stable for a gossip. "I say, Towler," said the ostler, "run up into the loft and put some hay down into this horse's rack, will you? Only put your pipe down first." "All right," said the other. A few moments later, I heard him step across the floor overhead and put down the hay. Then James came in for a last look at us before he went to bed. When he left, the door was locked and we were left alone. I don't know what time of night it was, but I woke up feeling very uncomfortable. The stable seemed full of smoke and I could hardly breathe. I heard Ginger coughing, and the other horses seemed restless, pulling at their halters, and many of them were stamping. I heard a soft rushing noise and a low crackling. There was something so strange about it that it made me tremble all over. At last, Dick Towler burst in with a lantern and began to untie the horses to lead them out. He seemed so frightened himself that he frightened us as well, and none of us would go with him. He tried us all in turn, then left the stable. I saw a red light flickering on the wall and heard a roaring noise. Then there was a cry of, "Fire!" The next thing I heard was James's voice, quiet and cheery as it always was. "Come on, Beauty, we'll soon be out of here." He took the scarf off his neck and tied it lightly over my eyes, and patting and coaxing, he led me out of the stable. When we were safe in the yard, he slipped the scarf off my eyes and shouted, "Here, somebody, take this horse while I go back for another." A tall, broad man stepped forward and took me, and James ran back into the stable. I set up a shrill whinny as I saw him go. Ginger told me afterwards that whinny was the best thing I could have done for her. Had she not heard me, she would never have had the courage to come out. There was much confusion in the yard as the horses were brought out of other stables. I kept my eye fixed on the stable door, where the smoke poured out thicker than ever, and I could see flashes of red light. Then I gave a joyful neigh. James was coming through the smoke, leading Ginger, who was coughing violently. Suddenly, there came a sound of galloping feet and loud rumbling wheels. 2 horses dashed into the yard, pulling a heavy fire engine, and the fireman leapt to the ground. The flames rose in a great blaze from the roof. Next day, everyone was wondering how the fire had started. At last an ostler remembered that Dick Towler had been smoking a pipe when he came into the stable. Dick said that he had put his pipe down, but no one believed him. Pipes were never allowed in the stable at Birtwick Park, and I thought it ought to be the rule everywhere.